All right, spoiler. Bam Adebayo is not on the list. Daniel Gafford is number 10. You're not going to get Miles Turner, and you're not going to get Bam Adebayo on the list. Reason being, the defensive field goals attempted at the rim and made at the rim. Also, there were just certain stats that don't really make those guys rim protectors, okay? So I apologize. They are great players. Bam Adebayo finishes in Defensive Player of the Year every year, somewhere in the votes. Someone probably would think he deserves it, but they're kind of perimeter guys, and they are really good at defending on the perimeter. And I think that's where a lot of their value comes from. So, by no means am I discrediting them. Am I not saying they're good? They're really good, but they aren't the classic rim protectors. And they didn't make the 3-and-D either. They didn't make the 3-and-D because they are centers. They're men without countries, men without positions. I think they were on the Defensive Player of the Year rankings. So they've made lists before. They're very good, but they aren't on this list. So, but I shouldn't have said that because I like it when people say, somebody wasn't on the list. This list is bogus. I always appreciate that. It's good engagement because I get a comment. So maybe Bam Adebayo is on this list, perhaps. But Daniel Gafford is a classic rim protector. He gets 2.1 blocks a game. He's not tall. 2.1 blocks it is good. It's not the highest on this list, but it is good. And he gets a steal. He has quick hands. As a short guy, as a short center, he definitely delivers. I had seen him when he was on the Wizards. I had a buddy that was a Wizards fan, so I'd watch them sometimes, and I was like, damn, this is like Daniel Gafford's really good. And he said, yeah, he's inconsistent, though. That was his feedback to me, because I was impressed by him. I liked Thomas Bryant wasn't bad at the time, but I was like, man, this Daniel Gafford is really good. But I guess when he was a Wizard, as my friend, who's a diehard Wizards fan, he said, not consistent. But so I always wrote him off. And then the Mavs trade for him and they make the finals. Daniel Gafford is really good. So field goals attempted. I have to explain this. What this means is that you were protecting the rim and someone attempted to put a basket on you. Someone tried, probably dunk, It's basically tried to put a little bunny field goal in front of you. And defensive field goals made are bad. That means they got it, they shot it, and they made it on you. Attempted means they tried. So, Daniel Gafford is the rim protector. And why we know that is because of the defensive field goals attempted. People are trying to shoot on you. You are the guy protecting the rim. That's what defines you. So what makes you more of a rim protector, not necessarily a good one because people could be dunking on your ass all the time, but what makes you a good one, what makes you a quintessential one, is people are trying to get easy field goals on you with your defensive field goals attempts. Now, I included defensive rebounds in this as well. I think they're important. I think part of being a good protector of the rim, to being a good steward of the rim, is be able to get the ball back when someone shoots, right? Because then they can't get another shot. Who cares if you block it if they get an offensive rebound, right? It may have looked cool, maybe you padded your stats, but at the end of the day, you're almost in the same position that you would be in, except if a block does not count as a shot. So the shot clock doesn't reset. So it's kind of nice. Now they're a little more crunched for time, but you got to get the ball back. So defensive rebounds, Daniel Gafford does not do defensive rebounds very well. That is the problem in his game. 4.9 defensive rebounds a game is not very good. So that's why he's 10. He's a great player. He's a great offensive player. I think usually if they'd want defense, I was going to say defensive-minded player, they'd probably go with Derek Lively, right? Because 7.6 rebounds for a center, it ain't great. And in my observations of watching his game, he's an offensive player. And he is really good. What did he have? He had the longest streak of made field goals. That has to be a lot of pressure. I feel like he'd be a little less. I'd be a stat whore if I was an NBA player. I'd be way less inclined to shoot if I knew I had this incredibly great field goal streak going on. But I don't think he did. I think he was just played the game he played. Made miss. I have notes on him. He's fast. Here's the thing. Most of these guys are huge. They're giant guys that are not fast down the court. So watching a lot of highlights and watching his game, you realize there is something to be said for having a Daniel Gafford type who can get down the court quickly and then also has great footwork and can just get baskets quickly. Playing fast. If you're playing with Embiid, I'm not going to spoil anything, but if you're playing with Embiid, you're playing with Rudy Gobert, those guys don't get down the court quick. So I learned a new aspect of being a great rim protector and what can make you good. There's different ways to do it. There's different value you can provide as a center. Primarily Daniel Gafford. He's number 10, but he's a really great offensive player. Am I ready to move on? Yeah. Did you know that they call him the landlord, the Mavs? They're trying to start that. They're trying to start his nickname as the landlord. I like it. I'm in. I don't understand it. I'm not saying it's bad, but I like it. I don't quite know what it means. Like you're charging rent? You gotta rent the rim space? I like it. I don't know. I don't get it. I like it though. Porzingis, again, not a great defensive rebounder with 5.5. You're going to see most of the rebounds you get as a center are coming from defensive rebounds. Maybe they're easy ones to get, but you should have more than 5.5. So Kristaps is a offensive-minded center as well, but he's huge. He's 7'2", and you watch him play, and he is a wall. He is a wall, and he's relatively fast. That's what I've noticed about him. He's actually relatively fast for how large he is. Obviously, he gets a lot of blocks a game. He's good at double teaming as well. He covers everyone's ass a lot because what I've noticed is a guy that's shorter, he'll be lurking behind the guy that's shorter. So the guy with the ball is thinking about the man in front of him. And they do a pump fake. They're like, oh, I got it. I got this. I've already worked this guy. I have an open look at the basket. Porzingis double teams well. And the guy with the ball, the shooter, doesn't even know he's there. And he will get a block. That's the privilege of being long, is you are not even in the guy's peripheral vision and you can make a block. And that's how a lot of blocks happen, is the assumption that no one is around when there's a hand that pop gets them. So defensive field goals made, 3.9, and there's only 7.5 attempted around him. I have a theory. There's a guy later I'm going to talk about. This is a theory. Everyone talks about the player that I'm going to talk about later, but people don't attempt to shoot field goals around you if you're incredibly tall. They're going to dish it out. They're going to be less likely. If you're going up with a guy like Daniel Gafford, you're going to say, all right, he's 6'10". Maybe I'm 6'9". Maybe I'm 7'2". I have a pretty decent chance of at least knowing where I'm at if I try to out-jump the guy. Versus Kristaps, you're going to look at him towering over you with his hands up. You're going to subconsciously say, this doesn't look like a great shot to me. Maybe I'll move on with my business and kick it out to a guy that can shoot a three-pointer. Am I done here? Yeah, I think we're good. Doesn't jump. He doesn't jump. Kristaps doesn't jump. And I thought that was really interesting. Watching him play defense, he blocks a lot of shots. He little hop, but primarily he doesn't jump, man. And it made me think, if you are a tall player, it benefits you not to get off balance and commit your body weight. Watch him. He doesn't jump. Clax. Okay, another shorter guy. He gets a lot of defensive rebounds, though. He has great hands at the rim, even as a shorter dude, and gets a lot of blocks as well. Steals, I thought he would have more steals, because one thing I noticed is he's good at poking the ball away, and he's also good at blocking low. Or no, he's not. But he does play the perimeter. He does play the perimeter a lot. He comes out. He can guard, further out if a guy is driving. And a lot of the guys on this list don't do that. They're, like I said, they are way too slow. So he does have that versatility to play like a Bam Adebayo, but he does a lot more rim protection than Bam Adebayo. And people do try to shoot on him. 7.1 field goal attempts. So he is a rim protector. Is he? I don't know who else on that team. Help me out. Who on Brooklyn is tall? Who else would be guarding the rim? besides Nic Claxton. I'm sure a lot more people are shooting field goals against the Nets, probably making them too. So he makes this list mainly because of his defensive rebounding, his ability to guard the perimeter and actually follow a guy to the rim to block the shot, and he blocks a lot. Blocks are hard to get. So he deserves to be here. Even though he is getting help, we don't know. You tell me. Who's the other guy? Who's helping him out? Brook Lopez. Here's the real discouraging thing about Brook Lopez. I almost couldn't believe this. 3.7 defensive rebounds a game. It doesn't seem right, but look, I have from Basketball Reference. He gets 3.7 rebounds. Why is this? I think the reason this is because Giannis gets a lot of the rebounds and Brook Lopez ends up doing a lot of the boxing out. Because if you look at the hustle stats, he's always on the hustle stats. I believe he's on the box out hustle stats, so that's why I believe it's so low. But 2.4 blocks a game, I think he's the second or third most blocks in the league. So I forgave the defensive rebounds because it would suck if you're boxing out everyone, because you get like the hustle stat, but you don't actually get the rebound stat. So I would hate to penalize him because he doesn't get a lot of defensive rebounds, because he's creating those defensive rebounds for Giannis. Because Giannis is getting over 10 rebounds a game usually, right? So I didn't hold it against him. Also, I like Brook Lopez, so I'm biased. He's 7'1", he's a beast, half a steal a game, not crazy about it, but he is the rim protector. 9.1 field goals attempted on him a game. And he gets, 4.1. That's how many they make on him. That's not very many. There's actually a percentage of how many are attempted on you versus how many the other team makes. And his percentage is actually on the lower end. So I think that's the main stat, the attempted field goals. And he's always getting a hand up, always in front of the guy. I think he has the most contested twos in the NBA. He is the rim protector of that team. Why is he so low? The rebounding, the defensive rebounding, I guess. That's why I put him so low. Maybe he should be higher. Man, he's got a lot of block gifs on GIFs or GIFs. I don't know, whatever you say. I don't want to argue about it. But there's a lot on Google of Brook Lopez. You do Brook Lopez GIF, Google images, you are going to have plenty to choose from. From the Bucks, from the Nets, maybe from the Lakers, I don't know. He was a Laker, right? Like 1 year? I think so. Chet Holmgren, incredible player. Man, he loves playing against Wemby. I was watching Chet Holmgren defensive highlights, and there were a bunch of him and Wemby together. He gets up for Wemby. I'm really excited about that matchup. I heard him on the Road Tripping podcast, and they were talking about him. And Chet Holmgren is incredibly competitive. I'm excited that we have him in the league. And he pushes himself, and he talks a little bit of, I think we're far enough into the show I can crap. He gives a lot of guff to other players, which I like. Kind of the Noah Lyles, if you've been watching the Olympics. I actually like Noah Lyles because I think he puts very high expectations on himself by being so cocky. I like it because you're saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to look like a real doofus if I lose. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to say how awesome I am, how cool I am. And I'm going to look at the camera and do one of these as I'm getting gold. Holmgren does that. He very much does that. So I'm excited for him and Wemby because obviously I think, he's the B to Wemby's number 1 in terms of the future centers of the league. The A is what he would be. If Wemby's 1, Holmgren's 2. If Wemby's A, Holmgren's B. 2.3 blocks a game. I believe he actually had. He was tied. No, he was 3. Lopez had the second most blocks in the league. Chet Holmgren had the third most, but it's really close. Good job, guys. 6.3 rebounds. Gets a lot more boards than Brook. So that's why he's higher up. This is making sense, right? It adds up. I put the work in. I didn't just throw this list together. I did my best. No Defensive Player of the Year votes for Chet Holmgren. Interesting. What the heck? What? Who put... The reason he's on the list is because of the defensive rebounds. Everything else is not great. 0.06 blocks a game is pretty shameful. Defensive field goals attempts, that means like somebody, and he's getting the field goals that he's actually defending are going in. He's not great at defending around the rim. Well, then why is he on this list? His steals aren't great either. His steals are okay. Actually, it's kind of high for a center. It's fine. It's not neither awesome nor is it bad. But he did get Defensive Player of the Year vote. So, like, what's going on here? The reason is he led the league in defensive rebounds. So, that's important. So I was watching highlights of him. There aren't a lot of defensive highlights. You're not getting any huge blocks from Domantas Sabonis, but what are you getting? You're noticing how good his hands are at the rim. I think what makes him a great rebounder also makes him a great offensive center, is how quickly he can get a ball up, how good his footwork is, and how when he's by the rim, he's sort of automatic. He'll pull the rebound down. He'll put a shot up really quick. It's just sort of quick movements, and he's got it. And part of protecting the rim, he's getting defensive rebounds. And he has so many that it made him 5 on this list. And he played 82 games. I feel no type of way. About making him 5 on this list. Great box out, too. He does a great box out, and he's fast at the rim. He pushes. I noticed this. I do have to call it out. If you're a fan of a team that was upset about Sabonis and you think he's kind of a cheater because he pushes at the rim, I gotta say, you're not crazy. I can validate. He pushes at the rim. He kind of shoves, creates space for himself. Part of the game, I guess, because he's really good around the rim, getting those defensive rebounds. All right, I had to put Joel Embiid on the list, and here's why. I feel like I've been so negative, and he had a great game, Team USA against Serbia. I watched the game yesterday, recording this on Saturday. He played great, and I'm very negative about Joel Embiid all the time, and I sort of feel bad. It's kind of making me sick. It's like made me depressed how critical I am of certain players. So I decided to be really positive about him because he is the guy that defends every single shot for the Sixers at the rim. He is the ultimate rim protector. He protects the rim the most out of any player. 9.9 attempted shots on him a game, and only 5.1 of them go in. It's really good. So no one else on the Sixers is protecting the rim. It's just Joel Embiid. So I had to give it up. Sorry if that was loud. I had to give it up for him. And he gets 2.1 steals a game. That's incredible. And the block's 1.7. Good. On the, above average of the great players of the league. So it felt good that I was able to be positive about Joel Embiid instead of just critical all the time. Feels nice. Feels nice to not be just the worst, most toxic person in my life. So good for him. 8.6. Again, defensive rebounds again. It was nice. He only played 39 games this season, but out of those games, man, he was really incredible. And he scores so much. He's an incredible player. He really is. And he's a great rim protector. He's number 4. He'd be higher if he played more games. So I feel like I held him accountable for being injured a lot, but I also gave him his flowers. Feels good. I like Joel too. Dude, at the Olympics, the game last night, he's been doing the crotch chop so much and no one cares. It's the most lewd act I've ever seen. Not that I'm offended by it. I enjoy it. I'm glad he's doing it. I enjoy the taunting, but he is letting it fly. He's not doing like quick ones like he's ashamed of it. Like, let me see if I can sneak these crotch chops in. No, sir. He is proud. He did like 13 of them in the game yesterday, telling the entire country of Serbia to suck it. Bold. Okay, Rudy. I had to put him on the list, even though it's crazy that he's not playing for France barely at all. Like, he's not starting. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Again, it's Saturday. It comes out on Monday. So tell me what happened. I don't know yet, but I got a feeling Rudy Gobert is not going to start against Team USA in the gold medal match. But in the NBA, he's a great center. Even though people talk about the Ewing theory, I was listening to Bill Simmons talk today about the Ewing theory about Rudy Gobert. Our team's better without their best, well, not their best player, but their best defensive player. All right, I don't know. It wouldn't make sense because 9.2 defensive rebounds a game, that's so many. That is so many rebounds that you would miss out on if he's not playing. 2.1 blocks. He does have great hands. Here's the thing about Rudy Gobert, though. My only problem with him is, he's tall, he's huge, he's perfect because he's just a monster. He's such a beast, and he does have quick hands at the rim. The problem is he is slow. His lateral movement is really bad. He can't defend the perimeter at all. And I've been watching a lot of Rudy Gobert stuff. Please defend him if you can. But he is excellent at rim protecting, but not really anything else on the defensive end. So that's his only problem. So that's why he's so high on this list, because he is excellent at this position. He is so good. But that's about it. The speed is atrocious. So you really give up a lot, both sides of the floor, when he's in. But you also gain a lot in one particular area of basketball. He's almost unstoppable. He's long. He's just large. He's a large presence. Not that that's all he is, but that goes really far. I remember watching Naz Reid sub in for him in the game against the Sixers this year, and Naz Reid just couldn't handle Embiid. But Rudy Gobert did. And once Gobert came out, all-you-can-eat buffet for Embiid. And I like Naz Reid. He just couldn't handle it, and Rudy could. So it's tough. It's tough to say. He's a very polarizing player. He is good, and he's also bad. He's great, and he's also mediocre. I think that's better. I don't want to call anyone bad. This guy's Defensive Player of the Year 4 times, right? It's not bad. He's an NBA player. He's not bad. He's just interesting. I think we're done. AD. I forget about AD sometimes. I love the Lakers, but their games are blocked out, so I don't get them on League Pass here, which is so frustrating. So I end up watching them. Usually I just end up watching another game, and I don't watch the Lakers games. Or I'll watch them on NBABite.com. I'll illegally stream it, and that can be very frustrating as well. So, dude, he does it all. He can guard at the top of the key, too. So he can protect the rim from guards. He can guard guards as well. And the more I watch it, the more I realize how important that is to be able to switch. Claxton does it as well. But Anthony Davis is way better than Claxton. But he can pick up a guard at the key and block him. He has incredibly quick hands, too. So, 9.5 rebound. He's got rebound ability. He's almost as good as Sabonis at rebounding, along with the other things that he does. LeBron's also a really good rim protector, too. I think, defensive, there's a gap here in terms of defensive field goals attempted. There's other field goals that are happening that AD is not guarding, who is probably LeBron, because he's also a really great rim protector as well. Didn't make the list, right? Not that he's not good enough to make the list. It's just that this is one particular skill set we're talking about basketball. I don't know why I'm couching everything, like getting ready for the attacks on the comments. Like I like reading them. It's fun to hear other people's arguments too. So, turns out Anthony Davis is good. I do have other notes on him. Can steal, like I said, can steal, can guard guards. And let's talk about Victor Wembanyama. 8.4 rebounds a game, defensive rebounds up there with the top. And then defensive field goals attempt is 7.9, which is high for this list. And also consider this. You can tell a lot of people do not want to shoot with Victor Wembanyama in front of them. A lot of times the only reason people do shoot with Victor Wembanyama in front of them is they don't know he's in front of them. He's far enough out of their, and I talked about this earlier, but their field of vision that they don't even see him. And he's able to get a limb out and block the shot. Porzingis does this a lot, where you don't see them. You don't know where they are, but there's a hand coming out of nowhere. You're being guarded, so you're going up for a shot thinking, I beat my man, and then there's a hand that swats it away. Real cheat code stuff. 3-point, led the league in blocks by far. Remember, Brook Lopez had the second amount most, 2.4. He led the league by blocks by a whole block. You don't get a whole lot of blocks a game. Came pretty close in leading the league in steals as well. And the main thing that I noticed of these big giant guys was the fact that they sort of are everywhere. They're sort of this omnipresent defensive spirit that you don't necessarily know is around you, but haunts you at all times. So, and he's 7'4". I'm really excited to see what this kid does. It'd be a gold medal game's gonna be. You know how it already went. I don't know how it went yet. But the main thing I wanted to talk about when watching all these, it's over. You've heard the whole list, but this is my observation watching all these defensive highlights. I realized the best way to block a shot is from behind, and a lot of these guys, these big men, will let players get to the basket. A lot of the best highlights, defensive highlights of the league last year were letting guys get to the basket, letting guys get blown by. Claxton does it all the time. AD does it all the time. Wembanyama does it all the time. Letting a guy get past you. Don't rely on your lateral quickness. Just let him burn you, like guide him to the hoop, and then just be over him. He'll go up for a layup. Maybe he'll do a pump fake, but you don't jump. You wait until he goes up, and then you swat it away. It's almost a better option to let him beat you, let him go to the hoop, and now you're behind him, and he can't see you. Now he has to make a layup knowing you're lurking behind him, and he doesn't know exactly what position you're in or where your hand is. So, I mean, I saw Derek White do this a lot this year, and he's not tall, but this was sort of his strategy. But he would, a guy would come in from the three-point line and drive on him. He let him slide by, and the guy would. He's not expecting Derek White to come over his shoulder, but he definitely would. And that is how most centers in the league defend. If they're playing one-on-one, I noticed. So I thought that was really fascinating. I really am enjoying watching the highlights and taking notes on this. Be good to your mothers. Eat a corn dog. Thanks for being here. Love y'all.